In Elden Ring, there are a multitude of weapons at your disposal, from exciting women's pleasure toys to an instrument that resembles one used by our favorite cephalopod. You can give your adversaries the experience of a young Catholic boy at church camp. But today, we won't be using any of that and ask a question only the mentally deranged could ask. Can you beat Elden Ring with only bows? All footage is recorded on my stream at twitch.tv/itsyatatime, so check that out if you want to see any new runs in progress. Before we begin anything, there are a couple things we have to go over. This, of course, are the rules for the run. 1. Only bows can be used. This rule will be stretched just a pube hair because I will be using crossbows and use ammo that applies status effects. If you're the Karen scrolling down to the comment section, then your PP small, and crossbow ends in bow, so it's allowed. And 2, 4 remembrance bosses have to be supplemented for my quiver before I can go up the lift of roll. Technically, you can just kill this cesspool of a humanoid, and Melina will give you your bling, but I'm making this rule because I like the feeling of stubbing your pinky winky toe on a 3 AM munchies run. So I started with making the most scrumptious man in all the land, named him appropriately, and woke up in a place where stepping on Legos is the norm. I dropped this sad excuse for a weapon and found this totally not suspicious doorway. This is where I became familiar with someone who would be by my side for the rest of this run. Death. After waking up, I found myself in a completely new world. Don't be fooled though, dear viewer, because everything here will still bend you over, turn you 90 degrees, and fuck you without consent. This place was meant for men, and I was merely a boy. And just like a puppy in a window, I found my sugar mama. She told me that if I brought her other people's lunch money, she would turn me into a man. To help me in my journey, she hooked me up with a full green energy horse. Goat? Anyways, before fighting anything, a few things needed to be collected. First is 2 talismans, the arrow's reach and the arrow's sting. In this game, they removed rings and added talismans, so that's what they basically are. Arrow's reach increases the effective range of my bows, while arrow's sting increases the damage. We only have 1 talisman slot for now, but after the first boss, we'll be able to equip another. 2 is the ability to craft regular arrows and arrows with status effects, mainly poison, rot, and bleed. Then, after murdering some endangered butterflies in a hidden cave and local wildlife, we were ready for some bosses. Most people would say that Margie is one of the hardest bosses in the game, and I'm here to tell you that those people are soy boys. If you are anything like me, a god gamer, then you too will beat this boss your first try. Next boss on our bucket list is the meatball raining from the sky and cloudy with a chance of meatballs.
I'm the lord of all that is golden.
Honestly, this boss was easy too. The only thing I had to look out for were the stinky poo-poo timing air blasts. I swear to God, I got hit by every single one of these. But eventually, after whittling his health down, I was victorious. After Shitstorm Castle, I went to go collect more packs of my Phase Jev Raging Gummy Fish, G Fuel, and fight a big fucker with that had a small doll. This doll was another one of those talismans, and this one was scandalous. I had to act like I was playing strip poker with my anime crush and slap on my birthday suit to do more damage. We must make our way to our second nut grease of this world. Some of you might know him for pulling down your pants and giving you the paddle. But what if I told you that this oversized Genghis Khan is the easiest boss in the entire run? A few AIDS-dipped bolts and blood arrows later, I had saved the horse that was carrying Ratagon and all future horses from experiencing such a massive master. Next on my summer 2022 bucket list was to kill Ranala, but before I could fight her, I would have to get past the family pooch. I knew from the start of this run that this boss was gonna give me issues. Actually, that was easy. Now, I was on to Budget Lady D and her armory of failed abortions. Naturally, I had to make this fight harder for myself by trying out the short bow and barrage, but quickly, I found out that sucked big fat cock, and I ran out of ammo before finishing phase 1. So after humanely collecting more arrows, I came back with my longbow and finished what I had started. Now the next 2 bosses I'm not going to go over because they were massive pushovers and were easily taken down by my gamer god skills. I took this opportunity to pick up some things. A new crossbow that shoots 3 bolts, upgrade materials, and a new talisman. This talisman was the Ritual Sword Talisman, which increased my damage when we were at full health, but it was locked behind one of the hardest. Actually, this Amazonian woman was as stress-free as beating my meat when no one's home. After acquiring our last keychain of the run, I made more arrows and prepared myself for our next roadblock. This cesspool was in the way of me and my rightful spot as Lord of Many Maidens, aka a Mormon. Nothing was going to stop me from retrieving this glory. Not even this dude with the stick version 2. I thought this guy would be way harder, but actually he went down with ease. Now it was time to claim my throat. Fucking thorns? What do you mean thorns? When I was contemplating my next move, my sugar mama came to me and said I needed to do something for her before we could have our open relationship. And this task was to get her into the most lit club in all the lands, the Fireball. But in order to do that, I had to get past Andre the Giant. This wouldn't be a problem if I could seduce him because my sexy body could sway any man, woman, or god. Andre has a little over 22,000 health, and I was only doing 238 damage to him. This I skip leg day piece of shit wasn't even hard. I just tickled him compared to other bosses. I would just use rot bolts and blood arrows, and eventually he would die. But this took exactly 17 minutes and 54 seconds to kill him. This is the second phase sped up 12 times. This is the point of the run where I knew this wasn't going to be easy anymore. Everything at this point would be like walking on eggshells, but 90% of them are replaced with mousetraps. If I make one wrong move anywhere, it could mean death for Bolo and one step closer to putting my fist through the drywall. And let me tell you, I was close. Before doing the next boss, I found out that if you kill this edgelord, he actually drops one of the bell bearings, and you can buy bones from the vendor at the round table. Before I headed up to the Fireball, I made a quick pit stop by the round table to ask this cutie to upgrade my wares. When I arrived at the Fireball, the sugar mama and I sat down, and she fucking drugged me. This bitch just used me to get up here so she could spiritually bang a tree? When I woke up, security had kicked me out, and I had no idea where I was. I continued on until I met these two guys, and hopefully they would help. Oh fuck. Oh god, I just wanted to pass through, and these two knuckleheads weren't gonna stop me. These edgy Billie Eilish fans were no match for me as I put on Everything I Wanted by Billie Eilish, and one of them fell asleep. Then, all I had to do was focus on my 500-pound life and use the pillar when he thought I was a cookie. After this game's equivalent of Borderlands 3's Cringe Twins, I picked up an anal bead and headed to our next predecessor. I stepped through the big fog gate to see a hooded man. As we fought, he asked if he could take a breather. So, as the respectful man I am, I let him do so. But he tricked me and revealed his true— what the fuck? He's a furry! This Warwick reskin's second phase was a fucking nightmare. Having no armor at this point in the game meant certain and painful death for me if I got hit. So getting hit wasn't an option. It took some learning of his silly goose moveset and godlike gamer dodges, and I sent this furry to where he belonged. Hell. Now we are coming to the end of this run, so if you've made it this far, you obviously liked the video, so beat that like button like you beat your meat every night, and you will always be a cutie in my eyes. So after we sent that disgusting furry to the ethereal realm, I was taken back to the capital. It wasn't how it looked before. The Erd tree was dying and shedding its pubes, which covered the capital up to its roofs. After heading up the elevator, I saw a familiar face. He had some beta male things to say to me, and I ended his life for it. This is when I started to use ice arrows, because I thought it would bring more pizzazz to the run. Our goal was to send this geriatric boomer back to the retirement home, because he was stealing our job. This goal was not an easy task though, because halfway through this fight, he rails a line and goes sicko mode on my ass. This boss felt the equivalent to what I imagined Jada Smith did to Will after the Oscars. All this grandpa wanted to do was grab my taint, twist the hairs, and throw me on the ground. This boss literally took 4.5 hours of its Yada time and tacked on another 28 deaths, but eventually I sent this dementia patient back to the retirement home. Now we were finally on the final stretch. Ratagon wouldn't be an issue because at this point I decided to pull a Will Smith on him and he wouldn't be able to do shit. The only thing we had to worry about in the Galaxy Plesiosaur fight was the disco ball of destruction that dicks you down, or the DDDD for short. Some of you might say it would technically be DODTDYD, but to you I would say no. 1, I only count important words, and 2, I made it up. If I got stuck in this dicking, or the plesiosaur used the wrong move, then I was dead, so I prayed he wouldn't. So, after doing Chris Rock dirty, aka Ratagon, we managed to avoid DDDD and took down our target like Trump's son hunting down endangered animals, finishing this run with a staggering 95 Sudokus. So can you beat Elden Ring with only a bow? Yes you can. If you guys made it to the end of the video, then comment Godfrey has a shriveled banana, and I'll see you guys for the next installment of putting a towel on my head in the shower to waterboard myself. See you cuties later. Peace.